It's basically 78.
Temperature?
40, 45. 45b, we're up to Beirav Amri, where we left off yesterday. We're talking about the spinal cord.
Yeah, I'm sorry I wasn't at the moment there to answer
You'll have more to
specific
discuss
questions.
today.
So if you still have questions, I'll answer.
He's
I
available
was
for
getting
consultation.
I was getting my aliyah.
Discussing the spinal cord, if it empties out in the middle, in the cord, if there's one spot that has nothing, as like a vacant space, it's like disconnected in the inside. And then we were also talking about if it's softened. So Beirav Amri, the house of Rav says Nismases Pasal, that if it's softened, it's Pasal. However, Nismazmes kosher. Nismazmes is if it's empty. It's a little spot that's empty. That's kosher. Sounds a little strange that if it's soft, it's Pasal, but if it becomes empty in one spot, it's kosher. Meisvei, the Gemara has a question. Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar Eimer, this is a Tosefta. Shimon ben Elazar says, Behema shenismazmez moicha treifa. Okay, so let's do this properly. Shimon ben Elazar is a student of Rabbi Meir. That's down here. See, this is Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Meir, Shimon ben Elazar. He's on this chart. And he says he's not actually talking about the spine. He goes back to the brain. He's talking about in the brain. You see, there's a association between the brain and the spine, even though in the halachas it's not exactly the same. In the brain it was even a small puncture. It would be a treifa, but in the spine it would be the majority. But we still think that there's a connection here, the brain and the spine. There is a connection, the nerves. But so if there's something missing in the brain, a small area missing in the brain, that's considered a treifa. So the problem is, if there's a small area missing in the spine, it should be exactly the same. It should be a treifa. The Gemara says, Hahi nismasmes itmar. That was actually talking about nismasmes. The reason why it's puzzled by the brain is because it was softened. It wasn't missing. An empty area is better than a softened area. Any explanation for that? I don't know.
What do you mean it's better?
It's kosher. The Gemara's okay. Eily.
Maybe because when it's missing, maybe it's congenital. If it's soft, it's sick.
That's what I was thinking about agenesis or something.
We were using the art scrolls yesterday. I saw something in the commentaries that I'm not sure.
But why should it still be kosher?
Why this one is better, why this one is okay, and this one's not okay. I think there's one in the footnotes there. Where are you? You know where you are?
There are a lot of what Chaim brings up congenital conditions, at least in readings, where parts of the brain are missing.
Okay.
Where the brain
Here
can
it
develop.
says over here, Rashi says, I don't know if this is the answer, it says the nerve tissue has liquefied to the degree that if were one to hold the spinal cord upright in his hand, the portion extending above the hand would droop because of the softened inside does not give sufficient support, but not so liquefied that it would pour out like water if the meninges were punctured. And then it goes on to talk about more stuff it brings from Rashi.
Okay. Eily, is it really so?
Eily
No.
or Eily?
It's actually Eily. Oh, you're asking me.
We're missing Yaakov.
Same mistake as
I'm
yesterday.
thinking of Rabbi Eily.
Okay.
There was the Gemara Peah says that there was someone that was missing from work.
No,
So
sorry, I thought-
his name was Yochanan. So the Gemara is discussing about Avak Lashon Hara. So someone says they wanted to notify the boss that Yochanan didn't show up, but they want to do it outright. So they said, Anyone want to go visit Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai during lunch? And the boss says, Yochanan. Oh, so where is Yochanan? And so the Gemara says, no. It's a funny example. Okay, so Inni, is it so? I'm not referring to anything. V'hal is association. V'hal Levi. Levi we know is Rabbi Shua ben Levi. We believe it's Rabbi Shua ben Levi's father. And so that would be on this page, right up here, on the Tanaim's page. His same, like, where's Rabbi Yehuda Anasi?
Yeah, he's quoted.
Down here, Levi. He's a student of Rabbi Yehuda Anasi, officially.
Isn't Rabbi Yehuda Nasi on top?
No, Rabbi Yehuda Anasi is here on the Tanaim chart. So Levi's here. But Levi said, Habi Yosef ben Masuta was sitting in the bathhouse. Chazialu Gavra. He sees this fellow, the Tari Lareshe, that banged his head on the stones. You know, they would heat the bathhouses those days from the bottom. Those stones.
He died. He didn't realize it was, 2 feet. Thought it was 6 feet.
Right. So, and Amar, Levi's comments, Nismazmiz Meichen Dedain, that this fellow's head is Nismazmiz, which means it's emptied like in one area. So it sounds that that's a big problem if it's empty. Lav Deleichai, it must mean that he's not going to live. Amar Rabbi Eily. No, it doesn't mean that he's not going to live. Laimar Sheina Meilid, it only means that he's not going to be able to have children. Very interesting Rashi here. The understanding back then was that the children that come from the brain go down the spine and through the reproductive organs, the semen. But whatever the case is, there is an effect that brain damage could affect on his ability to reproduce. Ad heichen chut hasedra. Until where does the spine go? Because the spine goes down all the way, it spreads all the way into the tail. But we said if the severed spine makes the animal a treifa, but if the tail's cut off, it's not a treifa. So where exactly would the end of the spine be for these halachas? Rabbi Yehuda Amar Shmuel. Rabbi Yehuda says in the name of Shmuel, that we know already, he's up here. Rabbi Yehuda, he was the brother that Rami said, don't listen to my brother, Rabbi Yehuda. But that was what he says in the name of Rav. He never spoke about Shmuel. Rabbi Yehuda says name, she learned by both Rav and Shmuel. So we're on the second generation Amiraim. Where does the end of the spine go? Ad bein aprashas. Until where it begins to branch out. It means as it gets to the thighs, to the back legs, so it branches out. Rashi gives another interpretation, which he doesn't accept, but he decides to learn the whole Gemara with his second interpretation, which he rejects. So let's just stick to the one that Rashi likes, that it's where it branches out. Rav Dimi bar Yitzchak have a kaboy lemezel beichuzai. Rav Dimi bar Yitzchak wanted to go to Beichuzai. I don't want to say have a kaboy lemezel. What he wanted. What does it mean? He wanted. He needed. You just say he went. I'm not sure why that's put like that. Also, Lakami de Rabbi Yehuda. He comes to Rabbi Yehuda. It's supposed to be Rav Yehuda. It's supposed to be Rav, not Rabbi. Amalei on the side they correct. I don't know if you see that. He says to him, Lech mimar beina prashas heicha. Show me where are the beina prashas? Where does it branch out? Where's the end of the spine? Amalei zil aiseli gedi. Go bring me a goat. And I'll show you. So he brings him a thick, fat goat. And he wants to show him where it branches out. Now the thing is that there's an exact location of where it is. And this goat was very fat, and although the skin was off, but it wasn't cut open from the inside. The cavity of it wasn't cut open. So he's only looking at it from the back. And he says, Amalei bli atvei, it's too absorbed inside, I can't show you over here. V'lo yediyah, you can't tell. You can't notice from the outside.
Here it says over here, what does it mean he wanted to go to Beichazai? So it says during the time of the Gemara, the Persian kingdom was divided into separate states, And this region, which is now Khuzestan, was next to the Persian Gulf. It was far from the Jewish population centers of Sura and Pumbedisa, and therefore the Jewish residents of Beit Hazoi were generally less educated in Torah and Halakha. So it was like a chiddush that he wanted to go to a place that was less
so what it
educated.
means is, before he left, okay, that makes sense. So before he left, he goes to Rabbi Yehuda. Okay, so he wants to learn this halacha. You should know what to do. Very good, thank you. That's excellent. So he gives him this fat one. He can't show him. So isolate kachash. He brings him a thin, this like a weak, very thin goat. Amalei belitan tfei. This is too thin, and it's absorbed. You can't even see the difference over here between these veins that are coming out of and the meat. It's so thin. You can't notice it. Let me just tell you the halacha. Hachi amar Shmuel. So says Shmuel. Ad achas. This is such a confusing line. Until the first one, it's a treifa. And there's from the spine, from the neck all the way down until the first branch, it's a treifa. If it's cut over there. Shlishas, after the third one, it's ksheira. But shniya eini yedeya. But the second one, I don't know. You're going to see how confusing this line is. Boy, Rav Huna Breder Rav Yeshua. So Rav Huna Breder Rav Yeshua. We jump down over here, all the way to the generation of Rav Papa. Rav Huna Breder Rav Yeshua is sort of the end.
This question was left unanswered for a couple hundred years until...
Right. I don't know if they understood it, and someone then
forgot.
like
Could be they forgot.
re-asked, or it was just attributed to Rav.
yeah.
Sometimes it could be attributed to his name because he brought it out. Rav Huna Breder Rav Yeshua's question is, Ad va'ad b'chlal, idilma ad v'lay ad b'chlal. When he said until the first one, it's a treifa. Until the first branch out. What does it mean, until? He said the third one is kosher. But do you mean until, let me get a,
Here it has it really nice.
you have a chart there?
Well, he shows the pictures. Is it before the first branch to the other one, or is it from the first branch to the second branch?
Yeah, let me hold this up.
And also the second, turn the next
Turn the page, turn the page.
Ooh. Okay, let's start one at a time. Let's do this. Okay, so I have 3 branches. 3 branches. 1, 2, 3. This is Rashi. Tosfos is going to have it where they're actually not. You see, the right and the left branch are equal, are coming out at the same. Tosfos is going to have it differently. But what he didn't say, he says from there it's kosher. But he didn't say until he said until here it's kosher. But is he including this until here it's treif? But does it mean until there? In between the first and the second branch, what is he referring to? Is he because the second one is he doesn't know. That's there. But what about the first one? He said until the first one. Is he including the first one? So when he says he doesn't know, he means the first and the second he doesn't know? After the first, throughout the second? Or does he mean that he knows until the end of the first? That's unclear.
Very good.
It says over here that there are 3 points around the same bone behind the pelvis, which the branches branch out from the spinal cord. So if the spinal cord is cut anywhere until the first gap between these branches, then it's treifa.
Right.
And if it's cut after the third gap, after the third branch, then it's kosher.
Right.
Wait.
So our question is somewhere in the middle there. What do we say?
I'm confused. A minute ago we were talking about the neck.
No,
It is
we're
the spinal
saying
cord,
the
it's the
spinal
second.
cord as it goes down from the neck to the tail. At which point, if it's severed, will it be a treifa? Where does it stop being a treifa and it's still the animal can live even though it's severed?
But we're not in the neck.
We're not in the
section.
neck. We're
No,
going all the
in
way down
we're
to
in
the tail.
pelvis, to the
Yeah.
quarter equina.
Sacrum.
Okay. Because that's
Right.
what was throwing me off the whole time. 'Cause
No, so
in
we're
a
talking
human
about
being,
where it spreads.
it's a solid spinal cord from the brainstem all the way down until you get in the pelvic area sacrum.
And then it would
makes
branch
a
out.
tail. which is called.
But
the
does it branch
quadricorn.
out into the legs? That's what we're saying here, that it branches
It
out.
actually branches out starting above it,
Right.
because the above the
Yeah.
above that kind of squid-like tail, already it branches out.
So that's what we're talking about, those branches.
But
Before
it
even-
branches out the whole body.
Oh.
That's what I understand. I mean, our shoulders
Right.
branches going
Where's
to
Right.
the.
Right.
These branches are talking about the pelvis and the sacrum,
Yeah.
and
Subliminal
how they branch out to the legs.
It works.
But the in the person, the branches that go in the legs are all in the lumbar area. It's just the last one is in this one, L2, L3, L4, L5.
Okay.
So that's what throws me off.
sacrum.
Anyway, no
Boy,
comments
Papa.
for me. We need a vet.
This is sacrum.
Boy Rav Papa. Now Rav Papa, who's a friend of Rav Hunabreder Rav Yeshua, has a question. Imtim tzalei marad v'layad b'chlal. Let's say we say that he wasn't including, when he said that it's kosher, it's not kosher until the first one. Let's say. So pi prashamahu. What about the actual place where it... The actual place where it branches out. So in other words, ad v'layad b'chlal. It's only treif until the place where it branches out. But it doesn't include in between the first and the second. So that would already be part of the question. However, what about the place of the branch itself? P part, that place itself. Is that part of the definitely treif, or is that part of the question? Okay, boy Rabbi Yirmiyah. Now Rabbi Yirmiyah has a question. Imtim tzleimer ad vad b'chlal. Let's say the opposite. Say that it's treif all the way through the first one until the end of the first one. But prasha atzmai mahu. What about the branch? In other words, the spine is branching out. What if you cut off the branch? If the branch was cut off, is that a treifa? So the Gemara says Tashema. Come and listen. This is an answer to Rabbi Yirmiyah's question. We put Rabbi Yirmiyah in Israel. It's like a jump over here. Rabbi Yirmiyah was next to Rabbi Zera, under Rabbi Bo.
He's the one that wrote the question.
Yeah. So to answer Rabbi Yirmiyah's question, we say Aprasha Tidin Kabasar. That we're going to consider it the branch just like the flesh, which doesn't make it a treifa. My love, from this, Parsha Rishayna Vishniya, the first and second branch. The Gemara says Loi, Shlishis. It's referring to the third one, which anyways was kosher. So we still don't have an answer. Okay. Ba'ifa. What do we do about a bird? The spine of the bird. It's going to be different. It doesn't have the legs and all of that we can discuss. Rabbi Yanai says, what's that, Aleph? Ad, yeah, he adds in the Bach adds the word Ad lamata min agapayim, until under the wings. Reish Lakish amar ad bein agapayim. Reish Lakish says between the wings. You want to see where that is? Reish Lakish is here. Ula is they put on the Babylonian side because Ula goes back and forth. But we're in the first or second generation Israel and traveler from Israel. Amar Ula. Ula said, "Havikoyimna kamei de Ben Pazi." I was standing in front of Ben Pazi, va'isel kami yoifa, and they brought in front of him a bird. Ubadakan bein agapayim, and he checked it until the wings. So in other words, we're assuming that he was checking it down from the neck down the spine. He's checking the spine. V'shalach le de bein nasiya. They sent for him from the prince, from the house of the Nasi. So he had to go.
Who's the Messiah?
Could be. Let's see. That's great.
See right there.
Yehuda Nasiya. No, it would be later. They have it here later. It would be Ram Gamliel. Ram Gamliel, the son of Rabbi Yehuda Nasiya.
Oh.
which is Rabbi Yehuda Nasiya is the grandson of Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi,
Named after.
Yeah.
grandfather.
the second. So, so he got up to go. I don't know if he got up because he doesn't need to check it anymore, or it was because he wanted to rush because of the honor of the Nasi. Okay. Nitla hakavid chulu. If the liver is removed, we said if there's nothing left, then it's treifa. If there is, the assumption is if there is something left, it's still kosher. However, we're going to have another Mishnah that says slightly different, which will pose a contradiction. The Gemara says, "Hanishtayer hi menaklum." If there is a little bit left, then it's kshera, then it's kosher. Afal gav d'leyavi kazayis. Even though what's left is not the size of an olive, it's so small, even smaller, it's still kosher. V'hatanan, but it was taught in the Mishnah, and we'll learn it further on. Bezras Hashem on page Nadalet 54. Nital kaved. If the kaved is the liver is removed. And there is an olive size left, and it's kshera. That implies that if it's less than olive, it's not. Amar Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef says, Rav Yosef is in the generation of Rabbi. He's in the, I guess it's considered the third generation here in Babylonian Amiraim. Rav Yosef says, he was the one that was blind. Loi kasher. It's not a problem. Harab Chia, Harab Shimon Barabi. There's two opinions. And one Mishnah follows Reb Chia, one follows Reb Shimon Berebi. Ki had Reb Chia zarakle, Reb Shimon Berebi matbale. Okay, we're going to have two interpretations who holds what, but whatever the case is, Reb Chia would throw it away, and Reb Shimon Berebi would eat it. We're talking about the liver. Now, possibly what we mean is we're talking about the liver that was removed, that was missing, and there was less than a kazayas there. So one interpretation goes like this, that Reb Chia would throw away the whole animal, and Reb Shimon Berebi would say that it's kosher because as long as there's something left, it's still kosher. Reb Shimon Berebi holds that it doesn't need to be a kazayas, and Reb Chia held that it needed to be a kazayas.
These people?
They're really the end of the Tanaim, the beginning of Hamiraim. They're like in that middle. Reb Chia. One Mishnah goes according to his, the way he, it's interesting. And v'simana chashirin mekamtzit. And the way to remember this, who was the one that said that it was kosher, is that the wealthy are stingy. And that means that they, Reb Shimon Berebi, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi was fabulously wealthy. And so his son, I guess, inherited the wealth. So he wouldn't throw away this animal, and he would say that it's kosher, relying on the more lenient opinion. Now, what they say, you just count your pennies, and the Eibishter will take care of the dollars and the 20s. So, the other opinion goes like this, that we're not talking about the treifa animal. We're talking about, did they eat liver? Reb Shimon Berebi ate liver on a regular animal. Reb Chia wouldn't eat liver. He said it's not really meat. It's not eating the liver. It's not the meat. So, why did Reb Shimon Berebi eat it? He held that it was healthy because he assumed because it makes the body live, the life of the animal is dependent on it. It must be something very healthy with all the nutrients there. So therefore, he would eat it, but for the health reasons. Now, because it's the life of the animal is dependent on it, that means if it was sick, it would need to be able to be healed. And we say that if it would need to heal, it would need to be a kazayas in order to be able to heal, to regenerate. It would need to be an olive size. So we just switched opinions. Reb Shimon Berebi holds that if it's not an olive size, it's not kosher. So in other words, in that one instance, yes, Reb Shimon Berebi would throw it away. But what the simon is, Reb Shimon Berebi would eat it. Mekamtin, he would eat every part of the animal on a regular animal. He would even eat the liver.
The person who doesn't eat the liver, you said, who didn't eat the liver. How do we know that he didn't eat it because, some people won't eat liver because no matter what they feel you can't kosher it, because you have to do it on the flame and this and that.
They
And
didn't.
some
they
from people
didn't,
that don't eat liver at all.
That's today. Those days they followed the halacha.
They had chopped liver.
They didn't have
no
extra
problem.
stringencies like we do today. You do what it says in the halacha. And
These guys are not chopped liver.
very good.
The liver has very, very high levels of vitamin A, more than any other food. Maybe carrots, but I think much more. But on the other hand, the liver can be more, it filters toxins, like Randy was saying a week ago. So because of that, some people they feel that the liver might be dangerous because it's filtering the toxins, and if it's toxic, then it can have a negative effect.
There was a Maram Shif, I don't know if I'll find it. There was a Maram Shif that said,
That's why they burn it off the flame.
It's because of blood.
Maram
That's
Shif.
it's full of blood. You're trying to get the blood out, but still the toxins may be in the meat.
And for this, we have vegetarian liver.
While you're looking this up, one more thing.
Definitely
This
not.
thing that it says the rich are stingy.
Yeah.
So the question is the fact that he was wealthy but he still ate the meat, that's because the nature of the rich is to be stingy? Or is it a bigger chiddush that even though he was wealthy, he didn't want this meat to go to waste because he felt like it was still kosher, and therefore he didn't want it to be wasted even
Right.
though he was wealthy?
Right, that's
You know what
the
I'm
two
saying?
opinions that we said.
Oh, okay.
The Maram Shif mentions the liver could possibly, together with other leniencies, could possibly not be considered fleshik because it's considered totally blood. And I've seen polemics. He gets attacked like with this. How could you ever say such a thing like that? No one should look at this Maram Shif. No, don't consider this in the laws.
There is a part of the cow that's not fleshig, it's even milky, right?
The udder.
Right, exactly. Well, not
Well, the udder
Comes
is
out- no,
fleshig.
No,
It's
the udder is fleshig, but
the milk that's
is,
found in the udder.
Right.
Okay.
So it's not such a foreign concept.
Okay.
Part of the animal isn't fleshig.
Okay.
You can't make an udder and cheese sandwich.
You cannot,
Right.
but you can.
But you
eat
can
the
take.
udder, even though it was previously filled
No,
with
what he
milk.
means is you can take the milk that was left in the udder and you can make a cheese out of that and have a meat and cheese from, if that's not considered milk.
Well, it's just like the egg
Okay.
that's in the chicken.
Yes,
that-
that's correct. It
that's
could
a
be
flesh
fleshik,
chicken.
right?
Exactly.
Hahu pulmasa.
Exactly. So that's just a radical opinion.
Right, no, but to say that because it's mostly blood. Okay, Hahu pulmasa. There was this group of soldiers, Dasala Pumpadisa, came into Pumpadisa in Arku Rabba Rabbi Yosef. Rabba and Rabbi Yosef ran away. Pagabu Rab Zera met them. And Amalu Arukai calls to them. He says, fugitives, like deserters, right? Running people that run away. Kazayas Sha'amru, refugees. Kazayas Sha'amru b'makim mara. The Kazayas is like shouting out to them at halacha that when it says that there needs to be an olive size left, it means that which position on the liver should it be? It needs to be the part that's closest to the gall.
Why is Reb Zera encountering these refugees like yelling at them just a lot?
Was he yelling at the
That's a
refugees or
main
yelling at
fanatic.
Rava and Rav Yosef for running away?
No, I don't know. I don't know
Right,
the
'cause
association.
Then you could say he was hinting to him there has to be a minimum amount left, like don't abandon us.
Maybe they were chomping on some liver on the way.
Taisus mentions that
Very good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Reb
Lashon
Zera-
Nakiya,
Taisus mentioned that Reb Zera himself didn't need to run away because he had connections, and his father was associated with the
He's a tax collector.
tax collector, possibly. Okay. Rav Ada Barava b'makom shehichaya. Rav Ada Barava says, in the place where it lives, that's where you need to have that kazayas left. Now, what does it mean, the place where it lives? It means, according to Rashi, the place that's connected to the kidneys, directly next to the kidneys. That's the area of the liver that's the most important part. We're talking about what's the most important part of the liver. It's either the part that's closest to the gall are the part that's closest to the kidneys. However, he brings another interpretation where he says the part that's closest to the diaphragm. Okay, that's where it lives. Amar Rav Papa. Rav Papa says Hilkach b'inan kazayis makam. Mara b'inan kazayis makam v'makam shichaya. Rav Papa says you need both. You need 2 kazayis now. Before you only need 1 kazayis. Problem is we have 2 opinions where the kazayis needs to be, where the olive size needs to be. Abai Rabbi Yirmiyah. Mislakit mahu. What if you don't have a kazayis in one place, but it's in different parts? When you collect it together, it's a kazayis. Kiritzua mao. Let's say it's not really a kazayis, but it's elongated kazayis. Boy Ravashi. Kazayis merudad mahu. Let's say it's been flattened, like pounded out. What's the din? Take all of those are teiku. Boy minei Rab Zrika.
Because of the shape is.
Actually, it's funny. Rashi says that's even worse than if it's in a. It doesn't have enough substance there. It's too thin.
Which part of this whole discussion does Teku refer to?
All of them, I think.
All of it.
I think so. Yeah, which means you have to be strict on all of these.
Because the strict would mean if there's less than a kazayas of liver that's functioning, the whole animal is treif.
Right.
That would be the
Right.
position.
Right. But let's say you have a kazayas, but it's just not all in one spot. And let's say you have the kazayas that's it's not exactly in a kazayas form. It's Boy minei Rab Zrika me Rabami. Rab Zrika asks from Rabami. There is a Rabami that's in Tveria, but I don't know if see a Rab Zrika to make this significant. Rabami would be under Rabbi Yochanan, under Rish Lakish.
By the way, in the heavenly court, I think when they learn this Gemara, they're talking about drinking, that it's okay to drink, say l'chaims, but if you drink too much, that you've destroyed so much of your liver, you're making yourself treif. So I think it's learned differently upstairs. I have no proof for this.
It says over here that the
But I do know your opinion now about
the chiddush of the flattened is
Yeah.
because when it's flattened, it's thinner than a kazayas. So even though it's talking about a kazayas, but what if it's less than a kazayas, but it's flattened because it's thinner than a kazayas would be?
No, but it would need to be in total a kazayas, right?
Right.
It would be in total a kazayas.
But
This is flattened.
But it's either broken down in parts, or it's
Right.
or it's squashed, or it's just stripped, or it's thinner, which are all going to be less than the thickness of the kazayas.
Less, okay, but in total, right? Okay. Rab Zrika asks from Rabbi, "Nidadla kavit mu'ura b'tapar shemau." If it's